Moskov doesn't get the free hit.
Is just ensuring that Joy is constantly ahead, but Onic PH starts to go over to the opponent's jungle already for a quick little invasion.
Yep. Right now, honestly, what Onic Philippines is doing is they're freezing every single lane, so they're trying to oppress YB in game to make sure that they don't get to move more than half the space of the map. Super Prince got damaged a little bit by Unicorn, but still looking very, very well. Kirk now taking a lot of damage.
Doesn't seem like Kirk is going to stay alive from that, and because of the enhanced speed of the clearing from Joy, they did manage to get level 4 onto Lucas a lot earlier than Onic PH would have probably expected.
Yeah, and like I said, you gotta respect the damage coming in from YB in game. We saw that where Unicorn almost killed Super Prince, and Kirk, you know, got deleted by Fish God as well as Lucas. So again, even though they're world champions, this draft you gotta be careful. But YB in-game's draft is also volatile when it comes to the late game.
Yeah, honestly, I do kind of want to rewind a little bit where I thought that Onic PH, they were given false information, right? Because they did manage to invade the opponent's jungle previously, which would have suggested that Lucas would not have level 4, which probably is the reason why Kirk kind of overextended himself at that point in time.
Now we can see Super Prince here going to the EXP lane, trying to absorb the level 4. It looks like he is going to get it. Unicorn doesn't really need level 4, so just harass him, making sure that he stays in lane. But now Onic Philippines, as well as YB in game, Abstract looks like they do want to contest for this turtle.
Yeah, it's a lot earlier than I was expected, especially since Brusco is not exactly level 4, but there we go. Super Prince just going to be going straight in for the ultimate and just hoping that they will be able to get a little bit more area control around the turtle. So far, no casualties just yet, but Fish God is just working his way, but flickers himself right out. A lot of flickers has already been expended, while Lucas finally makes his way over to the backlines, deal with Brusco. Kirk's next. As such, we do have YB in game that has managed to successfully take control of the turtle whilst taking 2 kills for themselves.
I really appreciate that YB in game completely understands how their draft works, especially going up against Onic Philippines, because again, like I said, they definitely have the edge come to the early game because their lineup does not need items for them to really do damage compared to what Onic Philippines has. Brusco, good engage, and Ares is gonna get taken down.
With 1 man down from the side of YB in game, at least Onic PH would definitely want to slowly get their way back into the game by getting small little straggler kills at this point, because they're not playing for the early, they're playing for the mid and the late.
Now, personally for me, Abstract, I feel like if YB in-game is able to slow down Kirk as well as Super Prince, this is going to make it so that... Oh, no.
Unicorn not again. Unicorn. He was within the confines of his own turret, but this is the power of Onic PH after all. Having great high ground, plus King Kong can just go in for the OG Shadow kill. You can't really get away from that.
Honestly, against Onic PH, with this lineup, I don't want to stay in mid, man. You got a Kalia, you got a Hayabusa, and you have a Farsa. Honestly, even if you stay at your second tier turret, they'll find a way to get you. Like this kind of draft is so easy in executing the gank.
Yeah, that is almost non-committal from Onic PH. Like, if they really do want to head over to the gold lane and constantly oppress onto Bilexi, I don't think that Onic PH will be too afraid of any of those at all.
Looking at the setup here, looks like the Selena being used by Unicorn is using the Inspire. Not a battle spell, but the emblem set, where this time also gives mana as well, so making it much more effective for mid laners that uses a lot of mana. And now looks like a gang going to goldie.
The artillery strikes going on. It does seem like the Feather Airstrike is more than enough to kind of push Ares away and kind of force a recall onto Bilexi as well.
Yep, and all of that is to set up for the turtle, making sure that they have priority, making it much more easier. I hope that YB in-game sees this situation and tries to get at least the bottom lane turret.
Oh man, it's just gonna be starting things off with a Tsunami Slam, but it's not quite enough to bring Fish God down. But at least it is gonna be the objective that is taken out from the side of Onic PH. But here, go, look at this! A flicker coming in from the side of Ares and allowed them to pick King Kong off. A great trade if you ask me. But in the meantime, a quick little stun from the side of Super Prince. Not quite enough to bring Fish God down, but so close.
I would say that's a big win by YB in-game. Letting go of the Turtle Schmurtle, man. They got a kill onto King Kong, and they're able to get the bottom lane turret. And I feel like Kelra saw this coming, so he immediately went to the top lane and grabbed that turret for himself. At least there's an equal trade here, because if YB in-game gets one free turret and Onic PH got nothing, then they're going to be playing from behind. So right now, YB in-game and Onic Philippines, surprisingly enough, 5 minutes in, and we don't see that big of a goal difference here, Abstract.
Yeah, it's very much neck and neck. In fact, what I was thinking about adaptability is truly going to be the name of the game. But hold on a second, we do have a little bit of a conceal going on, and YB in game, I don't think that they want to engage for this unless they are being engaged on instead. As a Tsunami Slam just going to be working out. Well, in the meantime, Super Freeze goes up with the Feathered Airstrike. Didn't really quite catch anyone, but it's more of a way to push everyone else out in order for them to dismiss the original fight by picking off Unicorn.
This is one of the weaknesses of Selena. Amazing damage, a lot of mobility, as well as range, but not that great at clearing the wave, especially when you're all by yourself. And Onic Philippines definitely use that to their advantage. Seeing only Selena there, they can really force a gank and then grab the mid turret essentially for free. So good understanding where Super Friends uses Selena a lot as well. Understand that she's not going to be enough of a player to clear the lanes.
Right, that is a great point. It just got me to think that in the early stages, Unicorn plus Ares, this combination is not something that can really allow the mid lane to push out to crazy extents. To the point that it would be understandable for Onic PH to be able to get a lot of these lane priority in the middle lane that really enhances their side lanes with the influence of Farsa.
I would say YB in-game, the draft is very gold-centric just by time. Oh, Ares flickers in, but not getting anyone.
Yep, the title strike did manage to hit, but not quite really pull in with the Tsunami Slam. But regardless of all of that, Ares is going to be the first person to go down, one of the tankier members from the side of YB game. As such, this is where Onic PH understands we gotta have to go all the way in, and Tsunami Slam catches on to Lucas. As now, with 2% down from the side of YB game, then realizes that, yeah, we can't take this fight anymore. Onic PH continues to oppress the rest of YB game, forcing YB game within of their interior turrets.
This is why Kalia should get banned, because the thing about catch heroes is that they don't care what you want to do. They will engage the fight, and then there's not much that you can do about it. But Kalia does it much better, where the range is just so long. Oh, but now Brusco, you might get caught. No, he doesn't.
Oh, Ares. He tried to be the one to start things fight, but doesn't seem like it's working out well. Ares doesn't have a lot of HP or defenses to really ensure that he stays alive from that burst damage from Onic PH. And because of that, and what has transpired in the past few seconds to minutes, we are already looking at a 6,000 gold lead in favor for Onic PH.
Yep, in just 3 minutes, a lot of changes has happened. But the game is not over yet for YB in-game, because the draft is very gold-centric, where all 4 other members of the team is really trying to create space, trying to buy time, so that the Moskov gets his items. But at this point, I don't know if he will have the luxury of time to get his items.
I don't think so either, especially since at this point in time, I don't really expect YB in game to have a lot of damage right off the start right now. They are all very committal heroes, such as Ares himself, Lucas himself as well, and even Unicorn. Even if you do land your Abyssal Arrow, you have to go all the way in, and you are not guaranteed an escape mechanism. You have your dashes, sure, but you have to go all the way in. You need Ares to join in with you. You also need Lucas to join in with you. If you do want to bring one person at least down, you need to have 3 person coming together.
YB in games draft is really a draft where you want all the stars aligned. And again, going up against Onic Philippines, I feel like it is a good idea, but it's just very hard to make sure that you don't do any kind of mistakes. And I would say it's not that YB in-game really did mistakes, but it's more on Onic Philippines understanding the weak spot of the draft and immediately attacked it. And now they completely control how the game is going. If YB in-game wants to get back into the game, they need some kind of surprise catch.
Yeah, so it's all about catch. I gotta have to agree, right? They are a committal team. But in the meantime, Onic PH, they have the ability to be able to back off and still being able to be in the fight, mainly because of the great amount of mobility plus the high ground that they have got from the Farsa. So as long as they have got great controls within the range of YB Game's jungle, it's gonna be tough for YB Game to set up these kind of surprise attacks onto Onic PH.
Not to mention they have a heal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Kalia can just heal up the team. I see not a lot of players know how to use the heal on Kalia, but I'm pretty sure Brusco knows how to. But now, Onic Philippines doesn't like you to find a push!
Yep, as now we do have the Tsunami Slam just gonna be catching on one. Not quite enough to bring anyone down just yet. But the main thing that Onic PH wants from this baby lord is to bring down the inhibitor turrets. With the top lane taken down, middle lane as well, and they're knocking onto the bottom as well. As King Kong goes straight in with the Ogi Shadow Kill, brings 2% down with both Unicorn as well as Lexi. In fact, that's not gonna be over just yet, because 3% down from YBG game, while Onic PH, they are all still surviving. With Fish God being the only one that have to go against all. He is not a god. As such, he will not be able to stay alive despite all of these 5 members banking onto him.
Now, Onic Philippines closed out the game with almost 13,000 gold ahead of YB in game. And again, YB in game, I feel like they executed the draft as well as they can. But Onic Philippines, they've seen a lot of games in their career. They know how to handle this kind of draft, and the answer is tag mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, they have the mid-game, they do have the mid-lane priority, right? It's tough, it's definitely tough for a Selena plus a Jawhead to clear the wave in the middle lane. There is way too much influence from the far side to be able to apply over to the gold as well as the EXP. So at that point in time, what YB game could very possibly do is try to go for little straggler kills as much as possible. However, not too, I would say that they are not too high octane enough to be making full use of that early game power spike that you can possibly have with that Joy head plus the Joy combination.
Yeah, if somehow Unicorn as well as Ares is able to pick off a lot of members coming in from Onic Philippines, then yeah, the situation might change. But maybe it's first game jitters. Maybe they're not all too confident to engage against Onic Philippines. Or it's also like Onic Philippines just not really giving them the space for them to do that. YB in game, I feel like this is a good draft for game number 1 to more or less understand what your opponent is doing. And if I was them, I would say what Onic Philippines try to do is number 1, they try to freeze the lane. So maybe get heroes that does not lose in lane so that you don't give that advantage to them. Onic Philippines as well has shown King Kong as well as Brusco moving as 2 inside of the jungle and trying to get inside of the jungle of YB in game. So, you know, be careful of that. And of course, mid laner, maybe something that can clear a little bit safer.
Now, the early game jungle rotation coming in from both teams, I definitely gonna have to say that YB game has got an upper hand solely because of the unorthodox rotation from Lucas. He managed to go down and clear out the southern jungle, like all of the southern jungle, while Brusco as well as King Kong, they actually stole the jungle creeps that's closest to the top lane, which would have suggested that, yo, Lucas is not level 3 yet, so we can actually go a little bit more aggressive, which allowed Kurt to move on over to the opponent jungle a little bit more, which, to their surprise, look, Lucas level 4. This is also only because of the fact that Ares was a lot more hot on his feet. He decided to help out with taking down the orange buff shortly after the purple buff has been taken down. So Lucas is already dealing with the bottom side, while Ares just focusing on to the purple buff so that he's gonna be clearing it fast.
Unfortunately, if you're looking at the damage here, looking at Lexi, did the least amount of damage in his team, even lesser than Ares, even lesser than Brusco. So this is not a good sign for a gold laner, but also shows the veterancy of Kelra, making it so that Lexi really can't have any kind of favorable trades against the Granger and really putting him behind. And that's why Kelra is the MVP for this match, almost 1,000 gold per minute.
Yeah, I mean, we are, well, how long is this game? Like 11 minutes? And it's already full slotted. This guy, 7:0:2 with close to 1,000 GPM, 82% kill participation. He's got great amount of influence that he's managed to get from actually the entire team, right? Being able to snowball from multiple different objective picks, and he was very adaptable in taking down the top lane tier 1 turret as well by looking at what is going on in the macro stage. That is just how Philippines play. Great at the macro and just understands what is the core thing that they need to do right at that very moment.
Yeah, And again, if we're looking at the stats here, it's amazing. But also, if I remember, during the final pushes of the turrets inside of the base of YB in-game, somehow Kara with the Rhapsody is actually able to target the backline. Not even target the front line. Like, a lot of his shots actually hit Belexi, where Belexi was supposed to be covered by his entire team. So for some reason, like, this guy is a real sniper. He's able within a radius of a lot of people, he gets his shot on the person that he wants the shot to be landed on.
Now, you're talking about Rhapsody, right? Not Death Sonata, right? Like, that 5 shot.
The first
Damn! That's not easy. How the hell is he supposed to do that? In the opponent's base as well. Well, I gotta have to say, it is all about positioning as well, right? Kelra, this is someone that is not new at all. We all know who Kelra is, and he has got a great amount of names, and of course, he's got a lot of things that's working out for him. And in this game, despite being game number 1, I was honestly really hoping for YB game to have this element of surprise. While in the meantime, Onic PH is still, kind of starting things up, warming things up, but it doesn't seem like that is going to be the case at all. Onic PH, Kara himself, is still playing at his finest despite all of that.
Yep, the Filipino Savage, the gold standard, Machine Gun Kelra. Like, Machine Gun Kelra. Again, yeah, that's the newest one.
Machine Gun Kelra. I love it.
I like it. Shout out to Trex and the cast in MPL Philippines for calling it out. But yeah, Onic Philippines, like I said, in 11 minutes, and look at that gold lead, almost 13,000. Kara almost having full stack on the Sky Piercer. YB in game, it's kind of like expected for them to lose against Onic Philippines, but I feel like that's also a wake-up call. They're like, okay, we know we're gonna lose, but damn.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, we always, when it comes down to statistics never lie. But there is always this element of, I wouldn't want to say element of surprise, but I would say it's more of like human error, just human things, Sometimes when you think that, oh, I'm comfortable, I know that this team is this team is that, while in the meantime, YB game, not a lot of information out there. I thought that could be that one thing that will work out for them and be that kryptonite that we haven't seen in a long time against Onic PH. But that's only game number 1. Hopefully, when it comes down to game number 2, we'll be able to see something a little bit different from YB game. Especially game number 1 could be that wake-up call that you mentioned, or it could be that research that they were looking out for.
I feel like the biggest things that they have to get comfortable with very, very soon in this group stage is the laning phase, because I really feel back in their own region, the laning phase is tough for sure. But going up against Onic Philippines, we see that they freeze the lane almost instantly, making it to a point where you can get your level, but as you're getting your level, you're gonna take a lot of damage. And as you're taking a lot of damage, you have to go back to base. And as you're going back to base, no one is protecting the jungle, and no one is providing vision. So Onic Philippines, at the first second of the game, they're already establishing some kind of map control, where I feel like other teams have learned how to do as well. So it's definitely something that YB in game, they have to get comfortable with very, very fast, find a way to break that freeze, or do it themselves.
I think that at least when it comes down to side lane freezes, I would like to believe that for this game, Onic PH, they have opted to go for this is only because of the fact that Roma plus mid laner, none of them is able to catch up with what Kalia as well as Fasa is able to bring onto the board when it comes down to wave clear. There is absolutely no way that they can wave clear fast enough unless Selena loses on the EXP just to be on par with Fasa. So it's kind of like a lose-lose scenario for YB game.
Yeah, we saw in the early stages of the game, like, Super Freeze didn't even attack the minions. He just spammed his second skill onto the Selena, and it was like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put your trap. I know what the trap is, I'll just avoid it, right? And during that entire time, Selena's just like, okay, I'm waiting for my trap to clear the lane, because if I go forward and use my melee attack to attack the minions, I'm gonna die completely. So again, this is more about Onic Philippines understanding their lane matchups, and this just shows experience, because everyone keeps asking, like, oh yeah, this team is experienced, but what's the big deal? Well, this is it. Like, they know against these heroes, should they be a little bit more passive or aggressive?
I think that at least from the China scene, it's more of the fact that they will look out for entire compositions that really work out for them. But when it comes down to the laning, I think that being frozen like that is not something new. It's just more of the something that they are banking on, and they're thinking, you know what? Instead of letting them, do whatever they want, we will at least have the Jawhead as well as the Joy deal with those influences from the Fasa, because we're talking about the Fasa backlines. You got the artillery strikes, but at least when it comes down to Joy, I'm fast enough, and when it comes down to Jawhead, I have unstoppable force. Whenever you go out for the feather airstrike, we can catch you. And I think that is the vision that YBN game is going to go for, but not quite something that they would have expected when it comes down to gap. How much gap that actually is, especially if they don't have jungle minions to help them.
Yeah, and now we got to proceed to what's going to be happening in game number 2. Because again, this is a best of 3. If Onic Philippines closes out the second game, that's it for the series. But if YB in-game is able to get a win, then this is going to be extended to game number 3. Now, one of my questions is, Kalia, is she going to get banned after this? Who's going to be first pick, second pick, etc.? Because Brusco is an amazing player no matter what hero he uses. Kalia's tidal wave is basically a mini Gatot ult, and we know how Brusco is amazing on that Gatot, so it's more or less the same hero for him.
Yeah, honestly, to mix up Tidal Wave plus the Tsunami Slam, especially since Tsunami Slam does have a crazy range on that, I do not want to see any of my backliners being able to pull all the way back, right? Because this is very unlike Cho, right? Cho, you gotta have to fully commit, and you can't. Yes, okay, technically you can go through and phase through walls with Shumpo. You've got 3 instances for your Jikundo, but this is just very different from Kalia, right? Where you don't have to stand exactly at that one spot just to kick them the other direction. So this is just easier to pilot kind of Cho, in my opinion.
No. Exactly. Like, I'm a roamer. I play Cho, I play Kalia, and let me tell you, I pick Kalia just because she's easy.
Okay, fair game.
No, I mean, like again, as a roamer, like your head has to be turning. Like, where do I gank? Do I protect my team? Do I engage? And all these kind of things. And when you're using an easy hero like a Hylos, like a Kalia, it allows your brain to really think about the macro instead of the micro. And one other thing, abstract about Kalia. Is again, she heals. So in a situation where you're in a team fight and you feel like you're gonna die, as a Cho, you run away, not trying to give the kill over to the opponents. But as a Kalia, you may die, but at least if you stay in the fight, you can heal your teammates, so it's always going to be some kind of trade. So as a Kalia, you have that staying power compared to a Cho.
Okay, so it gives you more reason to quote-unquote overextend, especially if there's no downsides to it. While in the meantime, Cho, if you go in, you die, then you're like, what are you doing? Roma, what you doing?
And now we are straight into draft here. Onic Philippines will be the first pick. YB in-game will be the second pick. Looking at YB in-game, they already banned out the Fanny as well as the Lu Yi, making sure that Super Prince doesn't have that mobility for his team. And Onic Philippines, again, banning out the Matilda, the Freya, and now even the Harif. And YB in-game, respecting Kelra with that Granger. Yeah, I'm looking at Kalia as well.
There's still no Kalia. Maybe for YB in-game, they don't really quite see the threat or the potential of Kalia at this moment in time. So it really just brings down to the point that Onic PH, they need to be there to show YB in-game. This is what Kalia is capable of. And the question is, do they draft around Kalia based on what she's able to bring onto the board, though?
And burn this wretched world.
The only way for you to really face against Kalia is bring heroes that has a Purify. That's one of the best ways. YB in-game picking up that Moskov, and now they're picking up a Suyo. Onic Philippines can now take up that Joy, and then +1, whatever they want, because like the previous game, they can pick up the Phoveus again. So Phoveus Joy is a possibility here for Onic Philippines.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking out for, at least when it comes down to the B1 pick being out the Kalia, responding to a marksman and a jungle pick for YB game, I thought that this is actually a very interesting choice because those two are the heroes that you would want to draft around in order to get yourself the win condition. So if you bring those two out this early, wouldn't that mean that Onic PH have the opportunity to get a perfect draft to make sure that these two, Moskov and Suyo, has got no game?
By Lantern's light.
And now looks like Onic Philippines will opt for a Jushin, which has been adjusted, and in a way, Abstract, it's kind of a buff. Kind of.
Jushin buff.
Let me explain.
Yes, please.
So Jushin, the nerf is that during the laning phase, she can only pick you up once. She no longer has the mana to pick you up multiple times in lane. So that itself is a nerf. But once you have enough items, the mana really isn't an issue. And what Munton compensated for the increased mana is more damage. So,
the only one.
you know, just wait long enough for you to get your items, and then it's basically a buff for Jushin.
Right.
But in the early game, sure, not enough burst damage.
Yeah, I mean the damage that we're looking out for is a phenomenal 30 damage at the very first level, right? So it's base damage, it's not the incremental percentage of magic power. So we are almost immediately able to see the effects of what that pickup is gonna do, right? The Lantern Flare. So I do want to kind of see how that's gonna work out, and especially since Onic PH in the previous game they emphasized quite a bit on lane priority in the middle lane, and YBin game haven't really quite shown that just yet. In fact, they picked up the jungle, EXP, and the gold lane, but the middle lane and the roamer, which is very important to wave clear in the middle lane, has not been shown.
I like that Onic PH banned out the Sicilian because you were talking about lane blue. Especially on this Jushin, YB in-game needs range. And not a lot of mid lane, like, sure, there are options in mid lane, but when it comes to the roamers, not a lot of long range roamers. So I'm worried that Ares is going to get heavily punished in this game.
So there are at least, I mean, there's two ways that YB game can draft for themselves. Do they want to focus a lot about what Onic PH has shown on their hands, or do they want to play around their lineup? I would like to assume that they want to focus on getting the Moskov and the Suyo, so because that is their comfort. So anything after that is based on what Onic PH has picked out. So based on all these picks, such as the Joy, the Kalia, as well as the Jushin, I would still want to believe that they want to prioritize in middle lane. Vexana is still a very good pickup, especially since they don't have any crowd control. So having that Terrify plus the knockup from the Eternal Guard, it can always be a great pick for themselves, and then the roamer comes later.
Abstract, I'm not trolling, but for the roamer pick, it might be not a bad idea to pick up something like a Florin, where
Florin.
Yeah, like her second skill makes you feel like you're a Selena. The range is very long, so you can deal with the Jushin, and then if Kalia is able to catch anyone, you can heal them back up. And once you have the Flash of the Oasis, you will get a big chunk of shield as well as heal, so you can survive any kind of onslaught. But looks like they're gonna pick up the Cho here, which is actually pretty good going up against Jushin, especially if you pick up Thrill.
Okay. So when it comes down to wave clear, we've got that from the Cho. So they'll leave the mid lane for later on. But in the meantime, Onic PH will then look out for a Hilda and a Beatrix. Oh, Hilda, huh?
Yeah. Again, they just want to win the lane. Look at all the lane bullies here.
Yeah.
I would say Hilda and Phoveus is just
it's a definite
what do you
answer.
call it? Wet noodles. It's just like
wet noodle fight. I wouldn't
wet
call
noodle
this.
fights. Like nothing really happens.
I would say that the Hilda would definitely be able to push the Phoveus away, but I definitely don't think that the Phoveus will go down that easily per se. Oh, but faster.
Yeah, but again, it's more or less the same idea. I feel like it's easy for you to freeze a lane with a Hilda as well, because even if they have a good trade against you, you can just heal back, and then you can just chunk him down very, very slowly. And now this is going to be very interesting. We're going to see how Kara has adjusted to the change of Beatrix, where essentially the bomb got nerfed, but everything else got buffed.
Now we've
Maybe
got the
maybe except for the Renner.
maybe except for the Renner. Oh wait, really? Okay, let me.
I have to check as well
yeah.
because I'm not a gold laner. I haven't played her for a while.
Yeah, there's only the nerfs and the changes on Bennett, Nibiru, as well as Wesker. Renner is completely untouched. And in fact, there's a buff on Wesker as well. So it's just mostly the cooldown. 12 seconds cooldown reduction on Wesker right at the start of the game.
Yeah, because I feel like Munton's note was that her bombs cleared the lane a little bit too fast for their liking, so they only really nerfed that one. So now I'm looking at Ares. I want to see how he's able to harass either Super Prince or Brusco here. We don't see the emblem, so he can either go for Firmness or Thrill.
So right off the start, I think that what YBG Game will want to do is to completely do the opposite of what they have done in the previous game. Clear away fast. But we're talking about a Juicin plus a Kalia. As you can see, it's not that easy. But at least for Onic PH, they are immediately making their way and forking right out to see what are the kinds of information that we have. They know that the studio started up to the top lane. They know also that Unicorn and Ares is not making their way to anywhere else at the top lane or mid bottom lane. So at least they still have got some time and chance to breathe.
Yeah, Ares definitely have the thrill here. As well as Pull Yourself Together. Ares as well as Brusco both using Pull Yourself Together. So with more assists that they have, the more access to Flicker that they have. And for me, I feel like going up against a Kalia lane, hold on, Kalia's going to get attacked here.
Well,
it looks like Brusco is going to be fine.
Yeah, still gonna be fine now. At least she's got healing. Let's remember that. So she's gonna be really sticky in the middle.
Yeah, the thing, Abstract, they should have gone heavy on level 1, but now Fish God taking quite a bit of damage against King Kong and Kirk. And now just going back to my point, if you're going up against a Kalia, level 1 is when you want to go aggressive. Because level 1, Kalia does not have a heal. Kalia needs level 2 to get a heal. So once she gets level 2, it's like you miss your window.
Yeah, so I think that for YBG Game, they are too afraid to kind of like go in because they're not too sure about the potential of Kalia as well as the level 2 power spike that Kalia potentially have and the effects that it would do onto the Juicin in the mid lane. But regardless, YBG Game, they have been very cautious in their gaming and in their laning phase. And I wouldn't fault them for that. They will always want to look for other opportunities, such as in the top lane, as that's a pretty good start. No, Kara! No way! Hey! No! What was that? Oh, Kara! A little bit of a dance, Michael Jackson move going on about, making sure that she did not go down. But in the meantime, King Kong draws first blood down over to Fish God, and Unicorn being the next one taken down. And Brusco even takes one onto Lucas. That was unimaginably chaotic for YBG Game.
That's one of those plays where you take off your headset and be like, guys, I'm done.
Yeah,
like,
I would.
That was a perfect gank. And now they're just continuing.
Oh man, this is the power of the snowball that Onic PH is able to get for themselves. But right now, they are pushing all the way in on the YBG Game. They are hoping that they will be able to do a little bit more. And now Fish God is not a lot, he doesn't have a lot of HP left. But the only thing he can go is full on committal. And for that fact, he sacrificed himself to bring Brusco down. Not exactly a great trade, but at least it's still something.
The fact that Kelra avoided by staying still, that hurts.
That hurts.
Like the worst thing is, that was a good gang. He literally did not move, and you didn't hit him. He's playing mind tricks. He's playing mind tricks on you.
This will not work against Pops, dude. But that is a great flicker plus the way of the dragon coming in from Ares, but not quite enough to bring Super Prince down at all, though, because of the massive amount of HP that the Super Prince have got from the Pops. And such, Kirk takes a double kill right down on the YBG Game, and they started 4 minutes into the game. They are already looking at a 3,000 goal lead.
This also highlights the amount of heal that Brusco can give to his team, and Super Prince, he can heal himself with his emblem setup. And again, it's like YBG Game being down almost 4,000 gold at 4 minutes, losing almost 1,000 gold per minute. This is gonna be rough. They need damage, and Unicorn dying twice. I'm not so sure if Unicorn can give enough damage.
Yeah, I mean, oh, Grant, it's kind of kind of hard for YBG Game to even try to contest for this turtle. I mean, despite the fact that Lucas is currently at level 6, King Kong at level 8, that 2-level disparity is a little bit too hard for you to work with, but still YBG Game still wants to go for that as a Tsunami Slam connects as well as a Lantern Flare. As such, that is going to be the front line that is taken down. There is no way for YBG Game to try to go for any form of pickup. They gotta fall back and give and concede the turtle over to Onic PH, but that's not all just yet, as Onic PH sees the opportunity to catch a random unicorn skipping and hopping somewhere else that is not defended.
YB Game right now almost down by 5,000. Bilexi is trying to get as much farm as he can. Brusco is just waiting. Again, that tidal wave can engage from a very long distance, and looks like he's going straight forward for Ares.
Not again, as Ares takes another L for himself, while King Kong puts up quite a bit of damage all the way out the top lane, but there we go. Gold lane. Hit for a tad. Both of the gold lane is going down. That was great for YBG Game.
Oh yeah, if I'm Bilexi, I'll take that all day. You know, it's like, I died, sure, but I took down Kara with me, guys. Like,
yeah.
We won.
We've got an advantage here. We got a bit.
Exactly.
It's still fit a 500 goal lead though, but definitely it just shows that YBG Game still have got their name in the game, still sticking to the status quo. It is tough though. It is really tough, as Ares now no longer have got that capabilities and the tankiness to really just jump over to the backline. At this point, I would confidently say that anyone that Ares pick out, just go for it. They might not have enough damage, but at least when it comes down to Unicorn, it's a great bruiser, so we'll see how that eventually plays out, as we immediately will be able to see the Tsunami Slam working it out, but not quite enough to bring anyone down just yet, and while Unicorn all the way at the backside do have got that airstrike to hope that it will be able to split the fight altogether. Not quite enough, as Fish God will take the L for that one once again, while Kirk just proxies in between, pushes the rest of YBG Game away. King Kong does the same in the middle.
And looks like Unicorn is gonna get taken down by King Kong. And after, let me put this on the record. Brusco's mechanic on this Kalia. Before that, Bilexi is just trying to survive. As I was saying, Brusco used the tidal wave to cancel out the Wave of Dragon twice. One at the turtle pit and one at the top side of the turret. Like, he canceled out an ultimate with a second skill twice.
Huh? Okay, I did not see that at all. Ouch! Wait, I kind of forgotten just how much damage that a Hilda could very potentially make out, but I do need to really keep my eyes onto Ares now. But the tidal wave once again, this is just outshowing the show at this point in time. Brusco is insane when it comes down to taking all these Tsunami Slams in.
Just see about the Hilda killing the Moskov. The Moskov is level 8. Hilda is level 10.
Oh,
and
crap.
She's 6-0-2. 6-0-2. You know, just saying, you know. He does not have enough damage, and now Kara having the Malefic Gun added range. I would say this is, if it wasn't checkmate before, it's definitely checkmate now.
It's
10,000 gold difference in 7 minutes.
Yeah. The 2-1 prediction is definitely some copium right now, the way that I see it. I was really hoping that YBG Game would be able to change the way that they play a little bit more. I do like the change in the drafting though, having more priorities in the middle lane. But it's more of the adaptability that they are not willing to go head-to-head against Super Prince as well as Brusco, especially since Brusco and Super Prince outright disrespected them by going past the river and say, come on, hit me.
Philippines sending 3 members. Ares tried to catch someone, but again, look at that.
Huh?
Look at that. He could not use his ult.
Wait, was that the tidal wave? Oh!
Tidal wave into a Tsunami Slam.
Oh, man. Yeah,
yeah, again, Ares was invisible. He was using the conceal, tidal wave into a concealed choke, and then you know, Tsunami Slam ends it.
That's Masterclass. Roma Masterclass. As we were talking about Roma Masterclass, Ares immediately turned right back as he managed to get a really nice kick down on the Brusco and finally taken down one of the main core person from the side of Onic PH. With the lack of the frontliners, Onic PH may have a tad bit of difficulty trying to tackle down on all of these inhibitor turrets, but still, they still have the firepower to back it all up. So YBG Game, they still gotta have to keep their toes up and they gotta have to be real careful. Painful.
Oh yeah, painful. And let me just say, Brusco is really feeling like this is gonna be
Ooh la la.
is a log game. He just completed his fleeting time just to get more tidal waves. Let me just say the tidal wave doesn't have that big of a cooldown. It's like 30 something seconds. It's long-ish. It's not that long, but
It's
now
not
having
long
the
at all.
yeah, like he's probably aiming at 2 tidal waves per team fight.
40 seconds cooldown
Especially
level
he
3.
has the
40 seconds cooldown. 40 seconds cooldown at level 3.
yeah, but after you put into consideration the cooldown items, like I don't know whether he has the dominance ice done or not, but you know, even with just one cooldown item, it's gonna be 30 something seconds. With the fleeting time, if I'm not mistaken, has cooldown as well. So yeah, he's trying to aim at least 2 tidal waves. 2 tsunami slams per team fight.
Yep, that is not something that you want to be. That's not what you want to face from the side of YBG game. That is for
You
sure.
don't want to face against Kalia at all.
No.
I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, I think this game is a testament of what Kalia can bring onto the board. So for the rest of Mobile Masters, maybe just ban her. I think that we've seen enough Kalia for the day.
I know Kalia is a strong hero when you can use Kalia in roam and it works, and then use Kalia in EXP and it works. And then you see some guy using Kalia in jungle and it works.
For real.
Like, at that point, you know she's pretty strong.
And
I actually feel she's better as an EXP. I'm just saying.
I do want to try that out now.
No, essentially what you do is you keep controlling them and then you heal up. And then they just don't know what to do with your heal.
I do want to know
As a
how the
roamer, it's
matchup
good
is
because
like
you can
against
gank a
Hilda
lot.
though. I do want to know how the matchup would be like though against like Hilda, because you got a lot of healing in your own brushes as well.
For me, I just use my Tsunami Slam to bring her into the turret, and then I use my Tidal Wave.
I'm gonna try it out the next time. You know what? I'm gonna play EXP Kalia later on during my break. Since
It's
I think,
good, trust me.
okay, I'll let you know how that's gonna work out. But speaking of working out, it is going to be Brusco going straight in for the suplexes, right down on the fish guard, brings him completely out of position while the Lord tramples and pillages down to the bottom lane. King Kong made some exceptions down in the top lane and built up quite a bit of a rally lead all the way up top, while the Lord is just putting up quite a bit of fight all the way down to the bottom, pushing the rest of YBin game away. The garrison's pretty strong from the side of Onic PH, but in the meantime, the creeps are just marching in to the top lane, bring all of the interior turrets down. YBin game though, we do have the Chodan's back, but that is an ultimate from the side of Super Friends to make sure that he's out of the range from Ares. As such, the way the dragon did not work out well for him at all. 4-man down, make that 5-man down, but before the 5-man goes down, the core goes cracking all the way down, and that is going to be 2 games in a row for Onic PH.
Abstract, let me ask you, in 11 minutes, if the opponent has 6,000 gold above you, do you feel like that's a hard game to win against?
I was in rank, yeah, I would say that, yeah, I don't have the mental capability.
6,000 is a lot. Imagine
Yes.
16,000.
Wait,
In
that was
11, almost 12 minutes, Onic Philippines got a lead of 16,000.
that was game 2.
Biggest lead I've seen in my career. I might have seen bigger, but I can't remember it right now. 16,000 is insane.
I think that it's more than enough of a testament of what Onic PH stands for. Oh, 16,000 gold advantage, 11 minutes. Okay, that's crazy. 1, 6, 3, 12. I think that's, yeah, it's just, yeah, that's about 16. More than 16, actually.
Yeah, more than 60, yeah. But
Damn.
yeah, 22 kills, right to 3.
No objectives.
The only one that died is Brusco and Kelra. But other than that, like, whew, this is a rough game. Like, I gotta admit, this is very rough.
This is a lot more rough than I expected, especially since they technically have the draft that answers the freezing from the side lanes, right? But it comes to the point whereby Onic PH doesn't even need to care too much about freezing. Maybe they did freeze for the first 2 waves or 3, but they don't really have to care too much just because of the fact that they have got very early engagements and the fact that for YBin game, they have been largely passive the entirety of the game. The way that they play in this game is so different from the previous game, but to the point that Onic PH identified that weakness and decided to just full steam ahead.
I gotta say, Abstract, the one thing that I don't like about Ranked right now is just because Kalia always gets banned, so I don't get to use her. And now with games like this, it further solidifies that this hero is not gonna get let through. To be fair, the highlight is not so much onto Brusco because it's Onic Philippines. Everyone shines. Kurt shines, King Kong shines, Kelra shines, but believe you me, inside of the game, your damage dealers will feel it, and against a very good Kalia player, your jungler is gonna feel it because there's no way that you can pick up a Purify. So how are you gonna escape a tidal wave into a tsunami slam?
Exactly. Like, they all fulfilled their roles. In fact, they fulfilled their roles so well that Kirk believes that, you know what, I'm just gonna go all out.
Oh, I didn't look at that. Oh my god. Another reason why he can solo Moscow.
Yes, that is. He's got thrill up on that. So he's got early game that early game pressure. I would like to believe that first item was immediately the play of the Heptasis. So it's probably more the fact that it's probably play of the Heptasis. So the first thing that he went into this game is just like, I'm gonna bully the crap out of Fishguard, and no one's gonna be able to stop me.
Dude, I just noticed he built straight up damage items. Oh, the disrespect. But you know, it could be a meta thing, like maybe against a Phoveus. That's really how you deal with a Phoveus in lane. But either way, the MVP is Friends, and this just shows that, you know, shout out to Moonton, but maybe they're not entirely sure how to this hero. Like, you have to make her weak enough that people don't ban her out, but at the same time strong enough so people will pick her up, but then it's like not too strong that she's like, heroes like this are so hard to balance.
Balancing is always the issue, isn't it? So there's always this one thing: nerf them, but give them amazing skill. People will play it regardless.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I think
honestly, I'm waiting for Kalia to get nerfs just so that people don't ban her, just so that I can play her. Not like, she's just fun. As a roamer, you don't get a lot of high mobility heroes. Like the one that is on the top of my head is Cho as well as Matilda, but other than that, not a lot of high mobility heroes.
And not to forget, I will say that out of these three that you have mentioned, with Kalia included itself, I think that it's a lot easier to pull off using the Kalia. It's hard to go wrong with the Kalia, right? You can't misclick. Yeah.
I feel like certain heroes are just like, if it's easy to play, it just shows how strong they are. Because a lot of people say Jushin is easy to play, and she's pretty strong. A lot of junglers say Suyo is easy to play, and look at how strong he is, you know? So, name of the game, if the hero is easy, probably pretty strong. And now we're looking at the MVP Super Friends with 2-0-16.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to Jushin, she's got the firepower in the early stages of the game, especially since the changes, right? Yes, as LaFell said, you only have that much of mana to deal with the opponent, but at least you've got a base damage that's been increased, and you also do have got 200 flat HP, base HP that's increased as well. So that is definitely one thing that you absolutely love as a Jushin. Since most people, and even with the flicker, oh my goodness, I do not want to see that again if I'm Unicorn.
Yeah, and maybe at this point, even Unicorn's like, why does Kirk have a lot of damage?
I think at this point in time, he probably has already built up quite a bit of items already. Like a couple of base items, more than enough to really just burst him down.
Yeah, I feel like he has the damage items early, because that's a little bit too much damage. But yeah, personally for me, one of the mid laners that I really don't want to face up against is Jushin. The control is annoying, but more annoying than that, you can't kill her because she's the tankiest mid laner that I've ever gone up against. Like, she's tankier than a lot of tanks.
So you wouldn't ever think that a mage will be tanky. You wouldn't think anything of that sort. But it just so happened that, yeah, you know what? We are going to be pushing a mid laner to build defensive items because why? The mid laner is not supposed to do damage. It's more about suppressive. It's more about support and just constant overload of crowd control. I kind of like the idea, but it kind of brings me back to that tank era again.
Yeah, but now we see it's 2-0 going up against YB in game, and after this we'll be going for an interview with Onic Philippines. Hello, King Kong. First of all,
Hey.
how are you, man?
Doing good, doing great.
Okay, King Kong, first of all, the last time I saw you was February. So this question is gonna be not about the game, but why is your hair black? Like, why didn't you keep your red hair?
Because maintaining a dyed hair is very hassle for me.
All
right.
Okay, so did it grow out already? Like, do you grow all the way out, or do you just dyed it black back?
I just dyed it back to black.
Oh man. So no
so-
colors?
Sorry?
No colors for the next. No color. You're not gonna dye your hair to another color in the next few months, perhaps?
Next year.
Next year. All right, so King Kong, now going back into the game, going up against YB in game. In the first game, you guys got 13,000 gold at the end of the game. The second game, 16,000 gold. So it was very clear that YB in game is not, I would say, ready yet for a lot of the strongest teams in the series. But I gotta ask you, what do you think were they really lacking? Like, was it the draft? Was it the rotation? Was it how they played in the lane? What was their weakness in this game?
I think YBG lacks in their chemistry and in their decision makings inside the game. How they play and how they play the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like a lot of development has to be moved forward after this abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course, when it comes down to YB in game, they leaked out Kalia twice in a row. How much do you think that the Kalia impacts your game to get this kind of overwhelming lead against YB in game?
10 out of 10 OP.
Ah.
I
Yep,
mean,
it's gonna-
here, yeah, we keep saying Kalia is a little bit too strong. Now, before we let you go, King Kong, I do have to ask, going back watching MPL Philippines, we've seen that Onic Philippines has been undefeated for a long time, but going back to MPL Philippines, you guys have faced a few losses. Do you guys feel like with those losses actually strengthen you guys as a team to make sure that you guys are at a top form here for Mobile Masters?
I think it's more of a wake-up call for the whole team. It's a wake-up call for us to like do more in every day, improve our routine. Yeah.
All right, before we let you go, is there anything that you want to say to all the fans watching?
For all the fans, thank you so much for all the support. We'll always do our best for you guys to enjoy watching us.
All right, thank you very
All right.
much, King Kong. That's it, King Kong from Onic Philippines. Good luck for your next match. Bye-bye. All right, so
Oh.
there we have it, Abstract. We have some insights against YBG.
So at least there is still a lot more changes that needs to be made for the side of YBG, and I think that is really just very overwhelming for them, right? I do want to empathize with them as to how they play in their own servers versus how they played in the international servers as well. So at least, you know, probably slowly climbing their way up. It will take some time before that they are entirely ready for the international phase, but they still have got more games to go though, because it is a round robin after all. So hopefully that they will be able to take every single game kind of with a pinch of salt and learn it from their mistake, and hopefully gets better at each stage within these round robins.
And after this, we'll be looking at the matchup. RQ Hoshi going up against Alpha 7, and I don't doubt that Alpha 7 is a strong team, but RQ Hoshi in MPL ID is also a very tough region for you to face up against. But even in that region, RQ Hoshi is shining really bright. So this might be a very difficult matchup for Alpha 7.
I do want to see how the Brazilian teams play all together, though, if whether there's any varying changes when it comes down to the meta, or when it comes down to the macro or the micro playstyle. In some sense, ID or PH. How do they want to play their game against RRQ Hoshi? That is definitely going to be the question that I have.
Yep. And now for all of you guys at home, we gotta let you guys know, if you guys are looking for a chair, for you guys to play on hours and hours, fix your seat with the Antros gaming chair, where we let our players try it out, and all of our players had tried out the Antros chair and they feel absolutely incredible with it, where they're excited that it's here for the SPS Mobile Masters. And for you guys at home, if you guys want to grab one for yourself, you guys can actually get an ESL version at antros.com.
You guys, by the way, this is ESL. ESL has pretty much been, going through chairs after chairs, brands after brands for the past 5 years. They have been searching and they have been getting like all the players to really test all the top chairs in the market. And this time, I would say that ESL has very confidently chose Antros because that is what the players wanted. As such, the official chair of ESL, Antros.
Personally, for me, if they send me one, I'll be happy, man. I'll be happy. I'll take any chair from Antros. And now again, as we said, it is going to be RRQ Hoshi going up against Alpha 7. And looking at the lineup for Alpha 7, a lot of familiar faces. So with that being said, my name is Phil, and this is Apchai. We'll see you guys for the next match of RRQ Hoshi going up against Alpha 7.
Take care.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming and DHL.